Welcome to Senior Health and Happiness, where we believe that aging can be graceful, strong, and joyful. Let's take care of your health, one simple habit at a time. Let me ask you something. Have you ever sat in a quiet room, looked around, and realized that although everything seemed fine, something just felt missing? Perhaps you used to hear laughter around the dinner table. Or maybe you once had neighbors who'd stop by to chat, kids running through the house, or a spouse to share your mornings with. And now, it's quiet, too. Quiet loneliness can creep in without us even noticing. It doesn't always show up as sadness. Sometimes it looks like scrolling through the same channels with no one to talk to, or making a cup of tea and wishing you had someone to share it with. And that's okay. Feeling this way doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. In fact, millions of people over 60 feel the exact same way, especially after retirement, or after a loved one passes away, or after moving into a new community. Today's video is about understanding that feeling and gently helping you take small, powerful steps to reconnect, not just to others but to life itself. Because staying socially active isn't just about filling your calendar. It's about finding joy again, protecting your health, reigniting your sense of purpose, and yes, even making new friendships that surprise you, no matter your age. So, if you've ever thought, I feel a bit invisible, or I miss being needed, then please, stay with me. We're going to walk through this together. By the end of this video, you'll have ideas, inspiration, and a plan that's truly doable. Starting from exactly where you are, let's begin. 1. The hidden epidemic. Understanding loneliness in seniors. Loneliness is often described as the silent epidemic of aging, not because it's rare, but because it's so common and yet so rarely talked about. In fact, research from the National Institute on Aging shows that nearly 1 in 3 adults over 60 experiences frequent feelings of loneliness. And those numbers have only increased in recent years, especially during and after the pandemic. You might be thinking, well, I don't really feel lonely, just a bit quiet these days. And that might be true. But there's a big difference between enjoying solitude and feeling isolated. Solitude is peaceful. It's the joy of a quiet morning, reading a book, taking a walk, tending to your garden. Isolation, on the other hand, often brings a kind of ache, the sense that you're disconnected, unheard, or left out. And here's the thing most people don't realize. Loneliness doesn't just affect how we feel. It affects how our bodies function too. Studies have shown that prolonged loneliness is linked to higher risks of heart disease, high blood pressure, weakened immune function, cognitive decline, and even a shortened lifespan. It's considered as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's right. Something as invisible as loneliness can actually harm your body, just as much as poor nutrition or lack of exercise. But here's the good news, and I want you to really hear this. Loneliness is not a life sentence. You are not destined to feel this way forever. Just as our muscles can be strengthened at any age, our social lives, our emotional muscles can be rebuilt, gently, one connection at a time. Let me share the story of Mr. Harold, one of my patients. At 72, he'd lost his wife, moved cities to be closer to his daughter, and found himself in an unfamiliar neighborhood. For a year, he stayed mostly indoors. I didn't know anyone, he said, and I felt like I was disappearing. One day, his granddaughter asked him to walk her to the library. That one small outing turned into a routine. On Tuesdays, they'd go. Then they started meeting other library-goers soon. Harold was attending a senior book club, and from there, the rest of his social circle grew naturally. Sometimes, the antidote to loneliness isn't about dramatic change. It's about one moment of saying yes. Yes, to stepping outside. Yes, to sending that text. Yes, to letting someone see you again. So let's talk about how we can recognize when loneliness might be showing up in our lives, even when we least expect it. 2. Signs you might be more isolated than you realize now. You might be wondering, how do I really know if I'm lonely? After all, isn't it normal to spend more time alone as we age? And yes, it is. Life shifts. Children grow up and move away. Friends move or pass on. Retirement means fewer daily interactions. These are natural transitions. But what's not natural or healthy is feeling emotionally adrift, feeling like no one sees you, or like the days blend together without much meaning or connection. Here are a few signs that you might be more isolated than you realize. You've lost interest in activities you used to enjoy, like gardening, playing cards, or attending church. You find yourself sleeping more than usual, not out of restfulness, but to pass the time. You notice that you're more tired even if you haven't done much. You go entire days, maybe even weeks, without speaking to someone who truly knows. You start to believe that no one would really notice if you weren't around. These are heavy thoughts. And if any of these sound familiar, I want you to know you are not alone. And more importantly, they are not permanent. Let me tell you about Judith. She's 68, living in a small town in Oregon. When her husband passed, she stayed busy at first, organizing the funeral, managing the estate, fielding calls. But as the weeks turned into months, her phone stopped ringing. Her calendar emptied. She told me it was like I was standing still and the world just moved on without me. But Judith had one saving grace: her love for crossword puzzles. She started going to the local coffee shop just to do them around people. She didn't talk to anyone at first, just sat, watched, did her puzzles. And then one day, another woman her age commented on a clue she was stuck on. That tiny moment of connection sparked a friendship. They now meet every Saturday to puzzle together, and their circle has grown to 5. Why am I telling you this? Because sometimes reconnecting doesn't start with fireworks. It starts with noticing, with admitting, yes, I've been feeling this way, and then choosing one small action. Maybe it's calling an old friend. Maybe it's stepping out for a walk where other people are. Maybe it's just smiling at the person behind the counter. Every connection starts somewhere. And now that we've acknowledged how loneliness can show up, let's look at how to build those connections, even if you feel like you're starting from scratch. 3. Building meaningful connections, even if you're starting over. Let's talk about something that feels daunting for a lot of us: making new friends later in life. You might be thinking at this age, I don't know how to start again. Or, everyone already has their circle. Maybe even, I'm too old to begin something new. But here's the truth. Meaningful connections aren't about age. They're about openness, shared values, kindness, and a willingness to simply be present. The idea of starting over can feel intimidating because we often think friendships must come naturally, like they did in childhood or during work life. Back then, friendships formed because we were in the same place doing the same thing. Every day it was easier. But in retirement or after a big life change, those built-in connections may no longer exist. That's where intentional effort comes in. And I promise, it's worth it. So, where can you begin? Start with your local senior center. These centers are not what they used to be. Many now offer everything from yoga to watercolor painting to computer classes. They're designed specifically to bring older adults together, not just for activities, but for community. If you like structure, consider joining a club. There are walking groups, bridge clubs, birdwatching groups, and even coffee on meetups. If you enjoy learning, try a community college class. Many offer free or discounted courses for seniors. You'd be amazed how quickly connections form when you're learning something side by side. Maybe you enjoy music. Look for a local choir or community band. Maybe you've always loved dancing. Try a beginner's ballroom or line dancing class. I've seen 70-year-olds try salsa for the first time and laugh like they were 20 again. Let me share a story with you. Mr. Raymond, 76, retired after a long career in construction. After his wife passed, he didn't know what to do with his days. He'd always been shy, but he'd heard about a woodworking group at the local community center. At first he just sat and watched, but eventually he picked up a project. The men in the group welcomed him in, and 1 year later, Raymond not only built furniture for local shelters, but also found a group of lifelong friends. They call themselves the Wood Brothers. The key is this: don't aim for perfection, aim for presence. You don't need to be the most social person in the room. You just need to show up. And for those who can't easily get out or who prefer connecting from home, the internet opens doors too. There are online platforms for seniors such as Senior Chatters, Stitch, or even Facebook groups dedicated to local interests. Many churches and spiritual communities also offer online events. Of course, safety is important. Stick to reputable platforms, don't share financial information, and take your time getting to know someone new. But remember this: technology isn't just for the young, it's for everyone. You have a right to connect, to explore, and to engage, no matter your age. And if that first class or group doesn't feel right, it's okay. Try another. The goal isn't to click with everyone, just to stay open to possibilities. So, take a look around your neighborhood or local bulletin board. What's one thing you could try this month? Just one. You never know who's waiting to meet you there. for reconnecting with family. Tips for better communication. Sometimes, the people we most want to feel close to are the hardest to reach. You might have children who are busy with their own families, grandchildren who are glued to their phones, siblings who live far away. Or maybe there's been some tension or silence that's lasted longer than you ever expected. That kind of distance, emotional or physical, can make us feel invisible, like we're no longer part of the story. But here's the hopeful truth. It's never too late to reconnect. And it starts with gentle steps, not demands or guilt, but bridges. Bridges built with kindness, curiosity, and a little courage. If you've been thinking about someone but haven't reached out, maybe because you're unsure how they'll respond, try starting small. A simple message like, "Just thinking of you today, hope you're well," or "Saw something that reminded me of you and wanted to say hi." These aren't grand gestures, but they open doors, and they're often received with more warmth than we expect. If you prefer something more personal, consider sending a handwritten card or note. There's something timeless and touching about receiving a letter. It says, "I took time for you." One woman I spoke to, named Margaret, hadn't spoken to her daughter in over 2 years. The silence had grown heavy, and both were too proud to break it. Then, on her daughter's birthday, Margaret sent a card, not with long explanations, just a short note. "Happy birthday. I miss you, love, Mom." That one card changed everything. A week later, her daughter called. They talked, they cried, they started healing. You see, reconnecting doesn't mean fixing everything at once. It means extending a hand, offering space, and being open to the possibility of closeness again. Now, when it comes to grandchildren, the challenge is often generational. You might feel like they're always busy or that technology has made communication impersonal. But don't underestimate the power of a simple phone call, or even sending a voice message or a short video if you're comfortable. If they live nearby, invite them for lunch. No expectations, no lectures, just time together. And if they live far, ask them about what they're interested in. Even if it feels foreign to you. Maybe it's a video game. Maybe it's their favorite YouTuber. Show curiosity, not judgment. You might be surprised by how much they open up when they feel seen. Also, don't be afraid to ask for help. Not just in chores, but in staying connected. For example, "Could you help me set up FaceTime? Can you show me how to text photos? I'd love to learn how you use that app." Young people often love sharing their skills, and it gives you a new way to stay in touch. And, finally, set healthy expectations. Not every call will be long, not every message will get a quick reply. But consistency builds connection. Keep showing up even in small ways. Sometimes just hearing your voice is enough to remind your family, you're still here, you still matter, and you do. You absolutely do. 5. Volunteering and giving back. The power of purpose. Let's talk about something powerful. Something that time and again I've seen lift people out of loneliness. Something that brings a sparkle back to the eyes and a bounce back to the step. It's giving back. Yes, volunteering. But not just as an act of charity, as an act of connection, of meaning, of being seen and valued. You see, loneliness often carries this quiet whisper. I'm not needed anymore. That's one of the most painful thoughts a person can carry. But here's the truth. As long as you're alive, you have something to offer. Your experience, your kindness, your time, your hands, your heart. Volunteering is one of the most effective ways to fight loneliness, because it shifts our focus outward. It gives us a reason to get up in the morning. It puts us in contact with others, not just as recipients of care, but as givers. You don't have to run a marathon or donate a fortune. Small acts make big waves. For example, many schools welcome senior volunteers to help young children with reading. Libraries often need greeters. Hospitals and clinics seek out warm.com voices to welcome visitors. Animal shelters need someone to walk dogs or simply offer affection. Let me tell you about Gloria, 81, who spent much of her retirement watching TV alone. One day, she saw a flyer asking for volunteers to visit homebound seniors. At first she laughed. "I am a homebound senior," she thought. But she made the call. 2 weeks later, she was matched with another woman, 86, who couldn't leave her apartment. Every Tuesday, Gloria would call her. They'd talk for 30 minutes. They became friends. Gloria told me, "It's funny. I thought I was helping her, but really, she helped me." There are even virtual opportunities if you're more comfortable at home. You can read to children via Zoom, help with phone support, lines, or write letters to isolated elders through nonprofits. And don't forget, giving back doesn't always have to be through organizations. Offer to drive a neighbor to their appointment. Share your garden harvest with someone down the street. Start a small knitting group and donate scarves to shelters. One act of service can become a door to 5 new connections. What matters most is not what you do, it's that you do it with heart. And when you give with heart, the return is immeasurable. Because loneliness often disappears, not when we receive attention, but when we remember our power to give love. So, take a moment right now. What's one thing you could do this month? No matter how small, that would make someone else's day brighter. That might just be the spark that brings your joy back to 6. Creating a weekly connection. Routine. Now that we've explored the why and how of staying socially active, let's turn it into something real. Something you can build into your week, just like brushing your teeth or going for a walk. Because here's a secret about social health. It works best when it's regular. Not forced, not overwhelming, but consistent. Just like your muscles stay strong when you move a little each day. Your connections stay alive when you nurture them gently, week by week. So, let's build your connection routine. Start by asking, what small social interaction can I commit to this week? Not a big event, not something exhausting. Just one reachable, meaningful step. For example, call one friend on Sunday afternoons. Go to the local park every Tuesday to smile and wave at the regular walkers. Attend a book club or a Bible study once a week. Schedule a video chat with your grandson on Saturdays. Volunteer 1 hour on Thursdays. The key is intentionality. When something is on the calendar, it becomes real. It's easier to follow through. It gives your week structure and your heart something to look forward to. Consider using simple tools to help you. A paper calendar on your fridge. A digital reminder on your phone or Alexa. A connection buddy. A friend or neighbor who checks in with you each week. Even better, make your routine multi-layered. Think of it like building a little bouquet of weekly moments. One person you talk to, one place you go, one thing you give, one new thing you try. That's it. That's your routine. Let me share the story of George, 74, who told me his life felt like a blur of nothing days. No structure, no meaning, just meals and TV. Every day looked the same, he said. So, together, we built his connection routine. Mondays, 15-minute call with his cousin. Wednesdays, attends a watercolor class at the community center. Fridays, walks to the local farmer's market and buys one fresh item, and always chats with the same vendor. Sundays, writes one letter to someone he hasn't spoken to in a while. For small acts, that's all. But George now says his weeks feel anchored. He looks forward to things. He feels seen. And that's the magic. You don't need to be busy every day. You just need one reason to feel connected each week. Over time, those little moments add up, into joy, into belonging, into a renewed sense of life. So, I'll ask you now, what's your one thing this week? Write it down, call that person, walk into that room, wave at that neighbor. Let it be the first step to a more connected you. Today, we've walked through the tender, often unspoken journey of loneliness, and more importantly, the powerful ways to gently reconnect. We explored why loneliness is more than just a feeling, it's a health concern. We learned to notice the subtle signs of isolation and to name them with kindness. We saw that connection is possible even when starting over through classes, clubs, online groups, and neighbors. We reminded ourselves that family ties, though sometimes strained or distant, can be strengthened with small acts of grace. We discovered that giving even the simplest act brings light not only to others, but to ourselves. And finally, we built a weekly connection plan, a rhythm to keep our hearts open and our days meaningful. So now, dear friend, I want you to know this. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You are not too old to matter. There are people in this world, even if you haven't met them yet, who are waiting for your smile, your story, your presence. It's never too late to belong again. Thank you for spending your time with Senior Health and Happiness. Until next time, stay strong, stay curious, and most of all, stay kind to yourself. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone you care about. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's one small habit you're adding to your daily routine? Your story might inspire someone else.